I'm often asked to comment on what's happening in the economy, where things are going, to predict, in effect, the future. I don't believe in that, frankly. I don't think anybody can do it. I certainly can't. And I've found that the economic predictions that I've encountered in my life are just as often wrong as right, and so I'm very skeptical. But I want to go into this a bit with you so that you're not taken in when you hear glib summaries that this or that is going to happen, good or bad. Here's the problem. An economy is a complicated, big thing. No one or two items, numbers, measures, criteria give it all to you. You can't do that. You really have to look at many indicators and then weigh the positive and the negative to come up with a suggestion of how things might go. That's about the best you can do. But economists don't restrict themselves that way. Economics has been polluted by the logic and methods of advertising. You know, an advertiser doesn't tell you, here's some good things about a product, here's some bad things, weigh them and decide whether you buy. That's not how advertising works, as you know. The advertiser tells you everything good about a product, hyped several times, and omits all the bad news, to say the least. And economists have come to replicate that behavior. They like it or they don't like it. If they think the economy is going up, they hype that and forget about the indexes that show the other way, and vice versa. So let's use some examples to drive the point home. The GOP and Trump are talking a lot about low unemployment rates in the United States these days, and they are low by historical standards, although millions are still unemployed. But what does the low unemployment rate mean? Well, here you immediately get difficulties. First, here's how unemployment is basically calculated. The government randomly selects people each month and asks them, are you working? If the person answers yes, they're counted as employed. If the person answers no, they're asked a second question. Are you looking for work? If the person says yes, they're counted as unemployed. But if the person says no, I'm not looking anymore, I've given up, I'm going to take time off, I'm going to go to school, whatever it is, that person is considered neither to be employed nor to be unemployed, but to have left the labor force. You can see what this means. If over the last few years, millions of people have left the labor force who were unemployed, and that's indeed what happened, then the unemployment rate will go down, not because people got jobs in the numbers needed, but because they left the labor force. And even if that weren't the case, and it is, think about this. The people who lost jobs after the capitalist crash of 2008 may have gotten them back, at least to some degree, but here's what we know. The jobs they lost were well paid, secure, and had benefits. And the overwhelming number of jobs being created now have lower wages, few benefits, and no security at all. The end result is to infer from a lower unemployment rate that our economy is in good shape makes no sense. It should be understood with the same skepticism that you hear advertising telling you what the greatest cereal or soap or TV brand is. I want to go one step further. The economic system we live in is in terrible, terrible shape. Does that mean no indices are going up and better? No, it doesn't. It means that on balance, a person like me looking at the indices that show improvement and the indices that show deterioration, on balance, I worry, I'm nervous, I would be very cautious in any economic decision I make. And the last point. The most important thing about a society is whether and how it holds together and what kind of life and community is being held together. In the United States today, as the wealth inequality reaches epic proportions and the income inequality likewise, and a government that is giving more wealth to those who already have it and cutting taxes mostly for those who don't need it, and the society splits apart, and everything from white supremacy and Nazism are coming back, you would have to be very narrowly focused, like an advertiser, not to see that there are fundamental economic problems not being solved and not even being admitted. Perhaps the biggest problem of the American economy today is not how bad a shape it's fundamentally in, but how bad the denial is of so many about that.